What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Fandom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I am here with Anthony, Michelle, and Mike, and we are discussing Dune 2. The film came out a few weeks ago. We all got a chance to see it except for Lori, which is why our Dune expert is not here. But that's okay. We're going to try to get this conversation started.
Yep, this movie is also known as Anakin Skywalker's least favorite movie of all time.
I
This
don't
movie is
think
95% sand. This movie
Anakin
is
would not be near
sand
Arrakis.
everywhere. Like
Yes.
holy shit. Like this, I mean, like the first one actually had cityscapes. This one is basically all sand. It was basically it was almost a longer version of the first two episodes of the Book of Boba Fett. I was just like, okay, that's a lot of fucking sand. Like, but and you know what it made me realize? It made me realize that I really don't remember the first movie at all.
You didn't go
Like,
back and rewatch it?
Yeah, you can rewatch.
I ain't got that kind of time. Damn,
Yeah.
I spent 3 hours in the movie theater watching this movie. It makes you think I would come back and spend 2.5 more hours, 3 more hours.
Wait. No, because every time I turn around, you're posting in the group chat, oh, did you watch this movie? You guys got to watch it. You did it like four
Like
times.
if you tell us to watch
I'm
Poor
talking
Things
about
one
the
more
movie
time.
I'm sorry. I need to talk to somebody about that movie because that movie like fucked me up. It's like I like it. I think what the fuck was going on? It's like I literally need to talk to somebody about it. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Dune 2, which is definitely probably one of the best movies, top 2 or 3 movies that I've seen in the last 5 or 6 movies that I've been to the theater to see. I mean, epic scope, pretty good acting. And it's just like the effects, the fucking worm effects were just incredible. Like
The
holy
Shai
fuck.
Halou they were awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like and it was like I was looking at it and like Austin Butler's portrayal was just like I was actually almost cheering for him at the end. Like for real.
Wait a second.
No.
I would preface that by saying that
Let's start over.
as I said, I don't really remember the old movie. I haven't read the books. All I know is that what's his name? Like Muad'Dib was acting like a fucking douchebag, and he was fucking with my girl Zendaya, and I was like, man, fuck that, just stab him. Even though I knew it wasn't gonna happen. I remember that part of the movie where Sting was like, I will kill him, and he ended up getting stabbed. It's
No,
like, but
I can't get behind a character that says, feed her to my pets. No, I just can't.
Yeah, when he said the
No.
pets line, I was having Omni flashbacks. Like what?
No.
fair point. That's a fair point. And his pets happen to be like women in his bedroom. Okay, fair point. Yeah.
Feed her to my pets.
Yeah.
No.
Or licking
fair
the knife and then stabbing the woman next to him who just was handing him the knife.
Yeah, he had some.
It's not sharp enough.
He has some issues. So the funny thing is, okay, Mike, you said you didn't have time to watch Dune 1 before, so I watched Dune 1 twice in the like 2 weeks leading up to it, and then now that they had a 40th anniversary viewing of the original Dune at
What you think of that, Hanako?
Let me just say that's a whole other show, but
do not trash the classic. It is
no.
a classic. It is, like Nick says, it is gold.
And it is not.
I'm going to politely disagree with you. And I don't know if okay, taking into effect that this was a movie from like the 70s, 80s era. Okay, I can take all that into consideration, but it's just there were certain things about that film that bothered me so bad. And I think also because this was before Dolby Sound, before it was surround sound, the way that it came across on the speakers in the movie theater, it was like listening to fingernails on a chalkboard for 2 hours. It was horrible. And I don't think.
Remember, it was a TV movie, so yeah, it really wasn't intended to be.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so yeah, that on top of the fact that I was sitting in the theater freezing because I thought the theater was cold, and it turns out I was literally transitioning into COVID at that moment. So yeah, that kind of skewed my movie going experience, but
ma'am.
I know I'm trying to be nice because
Right,
Anthony
because even if I saw it on the couch in pajamas, leisure time, perfect sound,
I know,
perfect screen.
I'm not.
It has the same feelings you do.
I
So
know.
I'm not going to let you disparage.
We're not going to talk about it
classic.
bad, but I will say there are things about Dune 2 that elevated the story for me. As far as coming fresh off of that experience, I was like, oh my God, if we see this, if we see that, I'm just going to be totally just done with it. But I loved Dune 2. And again, kind of like Mike, I've never read the books. I think we talked about this in Dune 1. I started reading the book like right before I went to the movies, but I only got like 3 or 4 pages in, and then life happened. So I didn't get a chance to finish, but it was just like Mike said, it was one of those movies. The cinematography was beautiful. The soundtrack was beautiful. It was, yeah,
I love it.
Damn near perfect is what it was.
And it's like, I mean, the characters, it's just like I was so deeply involved in what was going on. And it's like, I'm usually really bad at movies over 2 hours. Like there'll be like 15 minutes in between where I'll fall asleep on something. Did not fall asleep on this movie.
No.
You couldn't. You couldn't. Yeah. You'd have been lost.
No, I could have. I mean, there's some stretches of saying where I was like, oh, Anthony's probably gonna be like, can y'all please get to the fucking point? I was like, oh, that's a lot of walking. Anthony's not gonna like that at all.
Hey,
walking in sand.
Why you bullshitting? I was sitting there thinking, it's better not be Deathly Hallows in the Woods. Better not be. I think I swear I turned and looked at Michelle and was like, "It's better not be."
No, at the scene where Zendaya sent him off to do his training, I was like, "Oh God, how long is this going to be?"
Yeah, I'm so glad they didn't show like all of that because
I was like,
they cut to like the part where they're getting ready to attack, and I was like, "Wait, okay, they're not going to show us all that." Good, okay.
It was great pacing. I think it was great pacing for the movie. I mean, if it went too fast, we will be out of it. But it was a great pace. Like we didn't have to see the montage of him training, and it took 45 minutes for that.
Right.
That was absolutely perfect.
It literally felt like it took like 5 minutes. I was like, oh,
he did.
Yeah, because it was like next thing first thing he's walking into the fucking desert. The next thing you know, he's back and he's leading people. I'm like, oh, we're done. Oh, cool. All right, let's
go. Right. Okay, so let's talk about the film a little bit. This film picks up after the events of the first film, where pretty much all of the Atreides family and everyone associated with them has pretty much been wiped out by the Harkonnens. Paul and his mother, they have found the Fremen on the planet, and they are going with them. It's
literally 5 minutes after the first movie.
Right.
And I love that. I love that it's not like 2 weeks or 2 months or a year later and he's been in, with the Fremen and he's been trained already. Literally, you needed to, Mike, have seen Dune 1 again. So it was great watching it like 2 days prior. You could have did a part 1 and part 2 for Dune 1 at home.
Yeah, you could have split. Movie. Yeah. But it was great that you see it pick up like almost immediately after. Like there may have been some days in between. You don't think
so? No, it wasn't a day. It was like literally 5 minutes. They were leaving after
because he had just killed.
No. I'm saying no. I know, but what I'm saying is it's not immediately after the attack on their compound, because remember they got away. They were traveling in the sand by themselves for a couple of days. So what I'm saying is it picks up after a few days after that. I don't think it's more.
No, after the attack, but at the end of the movie, they were walking through the desert with Janice's body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This picks up with them walking with Janice's body.
But my actual quote was, "This was a few days after they had been wiped out."
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But
Hanako, were you secretly hoping that Jason Momoa was going to show up somewhere?
I really was.
I was too. I was like, he didn't die.
No, he got his ass killed.
Okay,
no.
so I know that he dies in the books, but I've also, if I remember correctly, I think Anthony and Lori talked about the fact that he is actually like cloned in the series. So we see versions of his character appear in the book series. So yes, I was really, really hoping that we would see Duncan Idaho again. And I'm so disappointed that we didn't, but he was probably off filming that doggone Aquaman movie. But yeah,
oh God, no,
I was
we're not doing that.
disappointed.
No,
I didn't say nothing negative about the Aquaman movie. I haven't even seen it yet, so we
don't have that much time. You're gonna get me started. We don't have that kind of time.
No, we're gonna keep you focused, Mike. We're not talking about it. I was just making an aside that
long drawn out piece of. See, you get me started.
You know what? Whatever. But yeah, I was really hoping to see him. Was glad to see some familiar faces pop back up from the Atreides clan, at least in what's his name? Guiney? Is that his name? Gurney. I knew it was okay. So yeah, I was glad to see Gurney show up, and then going back to the movie and to the Fremen when they finally get there to where the Fremen are based. I think after seeing the original film, I kind of had a certain vision in mind of what it was supposed to look like, and when they walked in and you see everybody and you see how it's set up, I was just like, I will forever be in awe of filmmakers who have the kind of vision and the kind of scope to imagine that kind of thing, because it surpassed anything I thought. It was
Villanueva is a fucking mastermind. Like, holy shit. Like, how do you, I mean, not only envisioning it, storyboarding it, but actually putting it out there where it actually translates. Like, that shit was crazy. Shout out to them redoing the Weather Girls "It's Raining Men" at the beginning of the movie, when all the soldiers were getting killed and falling down all around Paul and Shani. Like, I was like, that's the first thing I thought of. It's like, since they started shooting, I was like, it's a raining. Like, oh shit! Like, heads up. I've been waiting 2 weeks to do that joke. Damn it! I'm glad. Wait, 2 damn weeks. 2 weeks to do this joke. It would have landed better 2 weeks ago. But yeah, it's like that goes to show like the Fremen, like how gorilla like.
For those of y'all who are listening only and not watching the video, Anthony just did the motion of the joke going over everyone's head, and that was Mike's
the soldiers
exclamation of indignation you heard.
The soldiers that were falling from the cliffs were going over their head. But I was saying, like, it showed like the Fremen really being guerrilla like in their military, like in how they were fighting. Like, that shit was impressive.
The way they kept coming out of the sand.
I know. Yeah. I love it.
I was just like you don't, when you see the sand, and it's very windy on Arrakis too, so you see the sand always moving and flowing. The fact that they can be up under there and fully cover and still get up, not even slow, because everybody knows when sand is kind of heavy. So when you're under, I mean, we all know this just from, being on the beach. When you get under sand, it's heavy. The way they got up, they jumped up and they were able to like immediately spring into action and fight. That was impressive. That was impressive because they're one with that land, but also I felt like if the Harkonnens had been there as long as they had been there, they should have had some inkling of what they were stepping foot into.
No, you remember the Harkonnens are very one track mind. They don't have any creativity. they they don't.
Because it's not like they didn't know about the Fremen. They knew about the Fremen,
But they
right?
didn't think it was many of them, too.
Well, yeah.
They didn't think the Fremen were very good at hiding their numbers.
Yeah.
And also back to the sand. Sand is kind of heavy, but remember, it's also very dry. This is sand is not like beach sand where
because there's no water.
Humidity. There's no humidity in the air.
Yeah.
So it
Also,
is not quite as heavy.
Yeah.
Also, the Harkonnens, they feel like the Fremen are inferior to them because they have all the technology and they have like the military planning and like all the men and everything and like all the tanks and everything. So they're like, oh, what do you guys have, sticks? Like, you're not going to do that. I'm like, you've not watched any sci-fi fantasy film where you know that the people with sticks beat the people with technology 9 times out of 10.
They were like, yeah, I got your sticks.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Have you not seen Return to Jedi? Teddy bears beat up the Empire. Teddy bears with sticks beat up the Empire. You cannot discount people's heart just because they don't have the technology that you do. And that's what they were doing. They were just like, well, we're superior to them. We have more people, we have everything above them, so we should just go in and just sweep these guys under the rug and go on about our business. But that's not what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when Feyd comes, he has a little bit of creativity, and he's like, "Oh, we know where they live, and they just go bomb the places, into obliterate. They all the years they thought of that.
It's like you know what? If Rabin would have thought it, if Beast would have thought of that, this movie would have been 30 minutes long.
But you know what, Sue? When you look at all of the Harkonnens, the Baron, I guess, kind of maybe not so much, but just the soldiers and Rabin, they didn't seem all that intelligent. Whereas Faye Rother, when he got there, he was like, oh, boom, boom, boom. Like, something about his character. And Mike, I get what you're saying as far as the way Austin Butler portrayed him, because even though this dude is nuts, he's a psychopath. Mm-hmm. Right. There was something still a little, I don't want to say charismatic, but there was something about him that you knew if you leave him to his own devices, he is going to get shit done. And he showed that in this movie. Like, he was like, okay, you doing whatever? You, okay, whatever. When he threatened his brother, I was like,
he probably looked at what Robin did and was like, why don't you just bomb them? Here, watch this. And he went and like fucking carpet bombed their entire their entire compound. Was like, see,
they're so used to using lasers that no one ever thought we have like all these ancient missiles and rockets that we don't have any use for. He gets there, he's like, let's just bomb them. Like,
right?
Why are we bothered with the lasers? They don't work.
Yeah, it's almost like he's the one that has the philosophy of work smarter, not harder.
Right.
Because his brother, I feel like, when he went down, because he was the one that led the soldiers that got, as Mike said, ran down on, right? And it's like, when you look at his character, especially because he's, big, Dave Bautista is like huge, but you look at his character, you feel like his character is one of those characters that feels like they have to get physical, or they have to have they have to have their hand on something in order to say that they did this. Whereas his brother is like, okay, I don't mind kicking your butt, but we gonna make it easier first, and then I'm gonna come downstairs and do what I need to do. He made better decisions.
Yeah. And he also liked the challenge too, because even on his birthday, when the one guy gets poisoned in the leg, he was like, oh, no problem, I can still do this. Y'all back up, I got this.
Right.
Whereas his brother, you running when it looks like you're not winning your fight. You're not even trying.
See, here's the thing. It's like, from what I saw, that Rabin really wanted the battle, but Faye just wanted the victory. It's like, Raven wanted to fight people. He was like, I want to go down there. I want to fight people until it got too much for him, and he started to run away. Fade was like, I just want to dominate him, get it over with, marry this chick, and do what I got to do. It's like, can we speed this up? Let's go.
Yeah.
Like
I think he liked to fight too, though. I think he liked both.
He does.
He liked both.
He did.
Excuse me.
Now it is possible that they were being advised to not do that because you wouldn't want to make it like a blood battle. You know what I'm saying? Like if you attack their home and kill their children and women, that you might create a different kind of situation. They become desperate, and that could be a problem militarily. You know what I mean?
They didn't have any problems doing that with the Atreides, like that whole compound, because there were women and children there too, right?
Yeah, but that's also, we know where each and every one of them is, and we can stump them out completely. They didn't really know, like they had an estimate of the number of Fremen. They didn't really know. They knew kind of where they were, but you'll know what kind of hornet's nest you'll stir up if you do something like that.
Yeah.
Which, at the end of the day, it was probably fair advice to not do it, because what you end up doing is creating that situation where Paul
has to go to the south.
Didn't want to go to the south,
right?
And now you gave him no choice,
right? Okay, so let's talk about that whole thing with Paul, and we got to talk about his mother, because when
how old was she pregnant? She was pregnant for like 5 years. Is like gestation different for these people, or is it like that baby should have been 15 when he came out? It's like the baby was talking to her and like reaching, and I was like,
well, I'm kind of glad they took time with her pregnancy and gave her like a normal pregnancy, because after seeing the first film and what went on, I was just like, that whole first film, that child, it was creepy. So I'm kind of glad we didn't have to deal with that in this one. And I feel like it was a little more believable, instead of her having this like accelerated pregnancy. And then this child basically came out, and I don't know if that's where Stephanie Meyer got the idea for Renesmee in Twilight, but it's like literally Jessica had the baby in the original Dune, and the child grew up to where she looked like she was 4 or 5 by the time they got to the final battle.
She was like 4.
And she was talking like an old lady, and she was creepy, and I was just like, ew, I'm put off by this.
I think the first movie the implication was it was at least a couple of years, maybe a year or two. In the book, I know it was a couple of years that they were in the desert, at least 3 years, 3 or 4 years.
Okay, but they also said in the first movie that she had accelerated growth.
Yeah, she looked like a 4-year-old. It wasn't as short as this movie, but it was a little longer than this movie.
Yeah. But this movie, I feel like when Jessica drank the water of life, and basically it gives her the knowledge of all the Bene Gesserit before her, correct? And then for her to be pregnant, and they say some people don't survive drinking that. The men definitely don't survive. So her drinking it and absorbing it while she's pregnant, to me, that kind of made sense that the baby would also retain that knowledge. And then at that point, it's kind of like Jessica is communing with her ancestors, and with her daughter starts speaking to her. It did kind of make sense to me, especially thinking about it in a fantasy type sci-fi fantasy thing. It made sense.
I was about to call defects. I was like, this woman's ingesting stuff, and her baby's taking stuff that she don't know about. Like, this is child abuse. Like this baby is going to be all kinds of fucked up.
Yeah, but they're trained to control their bodies on the molecular level. So they're trained to deal with poisons when they ingest them. So that's why they survive.
Yeah, but the baby didn't know how to do that, and it's still creepy, her talking to her child.
But at that point, she was still a part of her, so she could
help. She helped her out.
Yeah,
but it's still creepy though, because sometimes I was thinking, you're not telling Paul exactly what your daughter's saying. We only hear
She
one side
was, though.
But
conversation.
Paul was also communicating with
Yes, but sometimes we only got one side of the conversation.
Yeah,
And
and it's
Jessica
like,
walking
and
around there, yeah, I know we need to do this. Ma'am, we don't know who
her
you're
mom
talking
going
to.
to her mom creating her own church and everything, just like intimidating
Mhm.
people into following her. I'm like, what in the Jim Jones is going on here?
Yeah.
the
Like,
church was already there. But I like when Hanako said at first, Jessica was kind of scary.
She
She
was.
oh, Jessica
She
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 was
was
fucking
straight up scared.
horrible.
She's like, "Oh, we'll start with the weak ones first."
Hey,
Like her, like
what did
once
your
she
daughter say? Did your
realized,
daughter say, yes, let's do this? Because again, we only heard one part of the conversation. Like, did she agree
I
to?
don't even know if she was communicating with the daughter at that point, but
She
it was
was. They
so
were talking.
weird
Yeah, they were talking.
the change, because you see her as, and I will say this, and she never appeared weak to me, even in Dune 1. She was a strong person, but she kind of, she stood back and did what she was supposed to do, especially when the Reverend Mother came to test Paul and all that. She was still strong because she was still giving orders, but she showed her respect, and she kind of stood back and said, okay, let me see how this is about to work. Now, with this film, you see her at the beginning when Paul is talking about getting revenge. She was like, your father didn't believe in revenge. And he was like, well, he's not here.
Here.
You
I
know?
do.
And
I
it's
do.
like, once she gets down with the Fremen and she hears about the people who are believers, that Paul is the Messiah, what is it? Lisan
Al-Gaib.
Al-Gaib. When she sees that, she's like, okay. And I feel like she sits back to watch and see how things are going to go first, because you have your fanatics, your religious fanatics. You have like Stilgar, who absolutely, once they start seeing things about Paul, they absolutely believe that he is that person. And then you have the other ones like Chani, who are like, this is bullshit. We ain't believing in this.
The ones from the north. They were like, whatever. We all equal.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul was like, well, how come he believes? He's from the South.
Oh God.
Stilgar was like the ultimate hype man. He gets the hype man award of the year. Oh, he breathed. Lisan Al-Gaib.
Exactly. This is basically all his fault, because he was the one that was pushing the whole narrative of him being the chosen one and his mother being like being a mother and all this other stuff. I'm like
Pushing the narrative. He was a propaganda machine.
He really was. Yes.
Was.
Yeah. Okay. I understated that. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
He was a fucking.
He was getting paid
machine.
under the table.
He was like basically make Fremen great again. I was like, bruh, calm down.
Yeah.
Like,
Paul says, I'm not the Messiah y'all are looking for.
Oh look, he's so
humble. He's so humble. He must be the Lisan Al-Gaib.
But here's the crazy thing about all of that. Because and you guys brought in a couple of references to real world that I'm not gonna name names, but it's like when you hear people say certain things about a person supposing to be the savior, the whatever, for the most part, we may see one or two signs, but the rest of it is just all in their head. The crazy thing about Stilgar is every little thing he was saying as far as this prophecy, we were seeing it happen. And it was to a point where I was like, oh, he is the Lisan Al-Gaib. Okay, sign me up. But then as the movie progresses and you see the way Jessica's machinations of the people start blowing that into bigger proportion, it's kind of like, oh, this is where it starts getting dangerous. Like, I almost feel like if Jessica had no part in fanning the flames of that, yes, Paul may have still had to have gone south. He may still have had to do some of the things he did, but I don't think the fervor of it would have gotten as explosive as it did. Like, I think Paul may have still been able to been pulled back, but now, given what happens at the end of the film and how I don't know. And like I said, I don't have experience with the books, but I have been reading some things. And I know that back when the film first came out, the original one, and the books, people were reading the books and they were looking at Paul as a hero. And from what I understand, Frank Herbert was like, y'all missed the whole point. Like, it
He's not
really
a
went
hero.
over your heads because that's not what I was trying to portray. And so he wrote some other books about it. And I think Denis is planning to adapt Messiah of Dune into a third film if he gets the green light for it. And that story is supposed to be told from Chani's point of view, where she sees, Paul kind of elevate to Messiah status, and how it's a cautionary tale. Right. And I was like, yeah, I can see that, because Paul went from being so humble to, I guess, finally accepting what he was supposed to be. And at first, I was like, okay, he's trying to save these people, and he's like doing what he has to do to tell them, hey, I am this person. I can help you. I can save you. I am one of you. When he starts telling people about things that nobody else knew, I was like, okay, that's a good way to kind of get people on your side, because you're telling them something that's factual for them. It's not just a lot of smoke and mirrors. But then as it kind of went on, it was just like,
the issue he had was when he started getting premonitions of the future, Anakin, and he saw that the only way that he was getting visions of her dying, and the only way he could save her was by first not going south. And then when he was forced to go south, the only way he could save her then was by following through with what he had to do. And so he was kind of stuck in that
rock in a hard place.
And save Anakin thing.
But I like how the book didn't put it on her, that the only reason he did this because of her dying.
The movie did. The movie did that.
That she was dying?
Yeah. That wasn't in the book.
Okay. I didn't really get that from that. I just got the part that he didn't want to kill all
those. Wait, that Shani was dying?
No, that she was going to die.
Wait.
Yeah, that's why he was
okay. I was thinking he was more of all the people die.
No, he was having visions of Shani dying, like getting killed in battle.
But he also had visions of the 61 billion.
Right, and that's what I was hoping he was leaning towards. So my bad.
Yeah, but
that makes it even worse.
So if Paul is Anakin, then that would make his mother the Emperor?
Anakin is Paul, actually.
Well, okay. Yes, that's true, because yes, Dune came first. Chicken before the egg. But
I know, Dune came for everything. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I will say this: going through all of that and watching all of that kind of take place, and Paul's ascension into the Messiah and the things that he had to do and deal with, and all the the kind of push and pull, because like you said, he didn't want to go south. He didn't want to be the Messiah. He didn't want any of this. He was like, look, I just want to kick the Harkonnens' ass for killing my father. That was literally his whole thing. And he was like, oh, and if I can help save you guys, that's cool. But he was very humble about it at the time. He was like, look, no, this is not about me. This is about y'all. I want to learn your way of living. I want to learn your way of training. I want to, I want to help you. I don't want this to be about me. It's not about me. He was very adamant about that. And
I want to be an equal. I just want to be an equal too.
Right.
He's so humble. He is the Lisan
Al-Gaib. See, this is
his ascension and the way that he was, and to see
he will learn our ways.
Chinese attitude about it. At first, I was kind of like, girl, support your man, because he's showing you he don't want to do this. You got to help him to, she makes this comment to him about she will always love him as long as he stays who he is. And at one point I felt like you are not helping him do that. And then like halfway through the movie, I was like, wait, that's not her responsibility. That's his. Right. And then I was like, okay.
However, she still pushed him, because she's like, but you do what you need to do. Go do it.
No, she wasn't firm enough. She would have been like, don't do this shit. Instead
right. She should have, let's stay in the north. Let's find us a nice little worm to travel on and
exactly
have kids.
Let's stop this worm and go west.
Yeah.
South.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they had done that, if he had ignored everything not gone south, I feel like things would have been so much worse. They would have
I
been
mean,
worse.
yeah,
It would have been worse for the
they would have
Fremen,
been
but
together.
not for
Not for the
the
world.
not
Yeah,
for
but
the
that's what I'm saying
universe.
for the Fremen. And it's like he would have had
I
that
don't-
guilt on him,
I
I
don't
think.
know which one is better though.
And I think that's
Freeman
part of the
dying or the other people
The
dying.
61 billion.
61 billion. Let's keep that number in our head. 61 billion.
I get it. And I think that's part of the I don't want to say the beauty of the story, but it's like for him, he knows if he goes south, those people will die. And he does everything he can to avoid doing that. But I think if he had, I don't know, I think if he had stayed north, I don't know, the Harkonnens may still have, they still may have gone south because even the whispers about them talking about the Messiah was enough to reach them and then be like, okay, you know what? We can't have that. Even if this person doesn't actually exist, we can't have that. Because, you know, whenever you have stuff like that, eventually that leads to a kind of uprising, whether that Messiah is there or not.
Yeah.
So I think I don't think he really had much choice. I think a majority of those Fremen probably would have died anyway. And then he would have had the guilt of knowing, okay, I could have gone and maybe done something as opposed to ignoring it and going off on my own adventure and then this still happening. I think he would have had more guilt about that. And then I think that probably would have been worse.
Then the 61 billion guilt.
I think it was inevitable because he would have been forced to go south. He was forced to go south. He could have not drank the water.
He could.
He could not have drank the water.
Don't drink
But
the Kool-Aid.
then
The Kool-Aid.
he would have gotten visions probably of Fade was going to come south. I mean, he clearly was going to come south no matter what.
Yeah.
And the only way Paul was going to be able to save them was to drink the water. Like the choice was save the Fremen or let them be slaughtered.
Yeah, red pill, blue pill. He didn't really have much of a choice.
He didn't have much of a choice. You know, and that's why one of the lessons in the book is, well, we're not really talking about the book, was he thought that he could control the Fremen. He thought that he would be able to change how they responded, but I think he underestimated how the Bene Gesserit. Stilgar, yeah. And once Stilgar was at the head, and then when you find out that all the other planets had the similar prophecies, that those fundamentalists and extremists, they saw Stilgar, it was like, let's go.
Right.
You know, and then all of a sudden, all across everybody, all over the place, all these different locations, jihad, they were all on board. And
everybody needs somebody to follow. Everybody needs a Messiah.
And that Stilgar is charismatic as fuck. I was like,
he is.
And that's just when you have something like that, when you have that type of, to have someone with that much charisma and that much faith as well, because he truly believed that Paul was their savior. He I mean, believed it down to this little grain of sand here. Right. He was all in. And like I said, unfortunately, there was nothing that he saw that told him otherwise.
And then it was triple confirmed when he drank the water of life.
That he wasn't even supposed to live through. He was supposed to be dead. And next thing you know, he's like up and talking calmly and like, yes, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I see everything. And it's like,
I was just tripping because I was like, I didn't really see that many tears from Chani because she was too angry. And then when they're like, what was it? I don't remember what the wording was. And she was like, oh, this is how I save him. And she touches her face and then touches his lips. I was like, did you even have enough tears for that to work?
What did Jessica say? She said, do it or something. She used the voice on it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. She did. She did. Because I don't think Chani was going to do it.
She wasn't, because he got himself into this.
Save him. So do it. She's
Dude, that voice change like fucked me up every time she did it. I was just sitting in the theater. She was like, dude, I was like, God, dang, what?
I think I jumped when she did it that time too, because I wasn't expecting it. I thought that she
Yeah.
was gonna wait and see if Chani would do it on her own because
yeah, she was.
Chani don't want him to be the Messiah, but she also didn't want him
Didn't want him to
dead.
die. You could have gave her like 10 more seconds, 30 more seconds before you forced her to.
Yeah, but we don't know how their body functions work. Another 10 seconds without oxygen, he might have been a whole different type of beast.
That's true.
So,
But he came in like a beast in the temple. I'm sorry. He came in.
True.
all those people, and Chani is the only one standing up, but Gurney was looking at her like, you want to sit your ass down?
You better sit your ass
Sit
down.
down.
Mhm.
But that one guy, he was like, "Oh, you dream of giving the water of life to dead people, and it brings you joy." That dude was like, "Oh, yeah, you good, great." And then the other guy, he was telling him about your grandmother. What did he say? Your grandmother
Lost the eye.
lost her eye at 12. And
Mhm.
then he said the word we all was waiting for back when the Fremen had another name for Arrakis.
Dune.
Dune.
And then all of them fell to the ground.
Like,
how does he know this name?
Or even when he said, "You think you can take me? You think y'all can take me?" Okay, pump your brakes.
The
Let me
only
tell
other
you.
time,
No, and no, the thing, nobody stepped to him either. He was like,
no.
Because you're
like,
like,
nobody.
You think you can take me? Do
Like
you?
this little skinny little motherfucker's like, yo, who's first? And everybody's like, nah, I don't
no, that's
want
all right.
smoke.
I don't think I want. I don't want that smoke.
The
Mm-mm.
I was
the
like,
only other
shit.
time I was ready to ride for somebody was in Game of Thrones when whatchamacallit, after he poured the gold on
Yes. Called.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Come
They
on, let's
count
go.
on
when he was doing his speech, I was ready to get on a horse
Mhm.
and ride.
I think all
That,
of us were.
that was the
You
only
need
other
a
time I
crowd.
felt that
Like,
way.
oh shit, yeah.
But I will say this. So I did not have any, like, I've never really seen any films, I don't think, of Timothy Chalamet before Dune 1. So I'm not very familiar with his filmography. But when I say he put his foot in this role,
Excellent
he
job.
was phenomenal. And not just him, the whole cast of this movie was phenomenal. I don't think I will ever be able to look at Stellan Skarsgård the same, because that
That's
image
Give that
of
man an
him.
Oscar. Give that man an Oscar now. He was. Oh, I thought Fade. You think Fade is like scary, but the Baron. That,
Yeah.
I still just want to explain to me his bath.
he
It
was
still
getting
haunts me
the
today.
poisons. He was still getting the
No,
poison.
it just
in his
looked like
body.
that. It's just a lot. It was a lot.
It was a lot. But I will say
It was a
this.
lot.
Okay.
W40.
Comparison between old movie and new movie, I am so glad that they did not include, well, even though cannibalism is not that much better, but the sexual deviancy that they implied to in the original film, that was just weird to me because of the way that they kind of did it. Like he was getting his rocks off of like violently hurting these people during sexual acts. And it was so weird. And then I read something in an article about how I actually just read this yesterday about how Frank Herbert was like a huge homophobe, and that was how things were kind of written in the book, as far as like it was supposed to be like, oh yeah, these people are the monsters, these people are the villains. I was like, oh, okay, that kind of sort of makes sense if you look at it from that vein. But I'm glad they didn't include it in this one. But like I said, the cannibalism is not that much better, because it's still a weird thing. Like you said, when he said, go feed her to my pets, they're hungry, I was like, excuse me? What? I was like, these people are just so, it's so strange. And it's just like, how did y'all get this way? And I'm so glad we didn't have the pus, yes, the pus bubbles on the face, and him spitting on Jessica like he did in the That was just, it was too much for me in the first one. Like I said, yeah, glad we didn't have that. But he was just,
and he was devious too. Like he was just, yeah, he was Stellan Skarsgård is a great actor.
He is.
He
very
is.
underrated.
But that Baron is crazy because by all accounts, from the way that he's talking, like when they're doing the birthday thing for Fade Rotha, he's making it seem like, he loves his nephew and, he just has so much admiration for him. And then when Fade realizes that one of the people in the arena wasn't poisoned prior to being put in there, he goes to his uncle and he was like, you tried to kill me. And the uncle was like, I knew you had this. And I was just like, wait, was he trying to kill him? Or was he trying to test his metal? Or I was so confused. I was like,
he acted surprised when he first realized it. I thought,
the Baron or Fade?
Yeah, the Baron. Like he was watching, he was like, he's not poisoned. Why isn't he poisoned? He was about to stop it, and then Fed was like, nah, I got it. Don't worry about it. Just like you said, he was like, I'm good. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
Like it might take me a little longer, but I can do this. But those men who
he
were fighting,
show me who you. He said, "Show me who you are."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
because
it's like,
think about it, he's the heir to the Baron's position, so he's going to make sure he can do what needs to be done, regardless.
Now, question: is Fade Rotha older than Rabin?
No,
but he was still the heir instead of Rabin. Okay. But
the Baron wasn't stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, I was
that a mile away. He's like, nah.
He's like, he was right too.
Right.
Yeah, he was.
Now the three guys who Fade was fighting in the arena, what do I remember correctly that the Baron said something about these were all people that were Atreides, not just part of the clan, but they were like blood Atreides?
Yeah, the last of them.
He just said they were the last of the Atreides.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last of House Atreides. He didn't really say if they were blood relatives.
If they were
relatives. Could have been cousins or whatever, but I think they were just everyone. Man, so part of the house.
Okay.
So they were the last ones they knew of.
Okay. Because I felt like that was why he put them in there, because one, they're Atreides. Two, but because they're also strong even when they're poisoned. So I felt like it wouldn't have been like, because I don't think Fade Rotha is the type of person who would have appreciated an easy kill. So it's like, even though those people were poisoned or they were injured or whatever it was they were before they got in there, they still could have given him a fight. He
wouldn't be able to fight them all at the same time, because mind you, the Atreides level of fighting is like almost on the level of the Emperor's soldiers.
Yep.
And that's why, Gurney, that explains a lot about how Paul is able to fight as well as he does, is he was trained by two of the best. And remember, even when they were getting the Sudakar army, they were like, oh yeah, these guys, they're tough.
Yeah.
Even they know that.
Yeah.
So that's why the poison was probably going to be normal anyway, but it would have been necessary because it would have been a tough fight to try to fight all three, and they were not poisoned or debilitated.
Okay. Now, Anthony, I'm going to draw on your Dune knowledge, because explain to me the role about the princess and the Bene Gesserit there with the Emperor, because in the movie version that I saw, you don't really see that dynamic very often. Like, we see the princess in the beginning because she's the one that's kind of narrating the introduction, and then you see her at the very end, but you don't see her at all throughout the course of the movie. You do see the Bene Gesserit that's advising the Emperor, but like in this particular movie, you see her with it's the princess and one other character. I can't remember her name, but apparently she was kind of important in the books as well. But you see her kind of manipulating them into, like, she wants the other girl to seduce Fade Rotha so that she gets pregnant so
Mhm.
that the Harkonnen line will continue on. And then she has plans for the princess in the same way with Paul. And so what is the dynamic like? What are their roles in the overall story that we are just learning about? Because of course, I'm always glad to see Florence Pugh in anything, but I was still a little confused about like what was the aside from her kind of manipulating things, like what's the backstory behind those two characters?
The Princess Irulan and then the one who's with Fade.
Yes.
The one got. I don't know their backstory per se, but it's sort of, if you think of Wheel of Time, you know how the Aes Sedai influence all the houses.
Okay, yes.
And it's a very similar thing. If that's what they do, they manipulate all the genetic lines of all the houses to do this thing.
Okay.
That thousands of years ago they planted these prophecies. All of this is to be able to control everything.
Okay.
So as long as they stay either married to or close to whoever's in charge of these different houses and the emperor, then they can manipulate everything and control everything. Because their powers include not only being able to commune with the past sisters, they can also commune with the future ones as well.
Okay.
So that's like when Paul was talking to his sister and he sees her on the beach.
Right.
That is him talking to her in the future.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
So
okay.
Yeah, that's how they're able to manipulate so many things on so many different levels.
Oh, that makes more sense now. So it's not just visions, like they are really talking to.
They can
literally
communicate with each other. Because if you think about it, if the ones in the future are drinking the water of life and they're connected to the ones in the past.
Oh, yeah. That makes saying it like that makes so much sense.
And so from this perspective, you're in the past, so the ones in the future are communicating with the ones in the past.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's how they're able to do all that. That's how that's why their control is so strict. And that's why they don't freak out. Like the I call her the mother superior. She's like, oh, it doesn't really matter. Like, we don't have a side.
Right.
She said, which side are we on? There is no side.
Yeah. And Jessica was like, you should have picked the winning side. And she was like, there is no side.
There's no side. They come out on top no matter what.
Right.
Because even if Paul wins, Jessica is his mother, his sister is his sister, they're still in control.
Yep.
Regardless.
Right.
That's their whole plan. And if Paul failed, there's Fade. They have him. They can figure it out from that way. Like she said in the last movie, there's potentials everywhere.
Right. Okay.
Just Jessica says it's my son. Okay, it's my son.
That's a different story.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said,
I'm a proud mother. It's my son.
Jessica was she was a beast in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it happen.
Out, and I remember Lori mentioning this when we talked about Dune 1, and I completely forgot. And I didn't think they were going to bring it up in this one. But the fact that Jessica's father is the Baron, like, who was sleeping with this man and why?
Well,
think of how whatchamacallit manipulated Fight to have sex with her to get her pregnant. It was the same thing.
Was that one of the things that when we were talking in Dune 1 that Anthony kept saying, shut up. Nope, don't say it.
Yeah. With Lori,
yeah,
she wanted to say it so bad.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she wanted to say it so bad.
But and
I was gonna say that back to the time and space thing. That's how the spice is able to have the navigators navigate through space and time, is that premonition ability. So the word of life is like a concentrated power of that. That's why the Bene Gesserit, they're able to sort of transcend space and time
Okay.
to communicate with each other. If it wasn't clear the first time. But yeah. Yeah, that was a great moment. Paul walks up to him. He didn't say anything to anybody. All the guards are protecting the Emperor like he's going to do to him. He walks by them. He walks right up to Baron, grandfather.
Right, and just shanks him.
Right.
Shanks him right in the neck. Like, yeah.
And it's like the Baron had that one moment of, oh shit. He didn't even have time to process that information.
And
before.
then Paul walks out, take the prisoners to my chambers, and leaves.
Yeah, I was worried that the Emperor was about to get cut. He had no time for that.
Right. He was like, nah, I'll deal with you later. Let me deal with this one first. So, yeah. But then when he was getting ready to fight Faye Rothan, he said cousin. And Faye was like, oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, I'm going to kill you anyway, which didn't
happen.
Didn't happen. That fight scene was so much better than the original. I will say that. I'm just the original fight scene. I was like, really? Like kindergartners can fight better than this.
I mean, the Sting. It's like how much fighting experience did Sting really have? Like, come on.
Children playing with broomsticks would have been a better fight. But
right,
I digress.
If he would have been fighting like a bass guitarist or a rhythm guitar, he probably would have been better. But it's like you don't give a fuck.
First of all, Sting was not going to let anything hit that pretty face of his.
Exactly. He's like, yeah.
Why was he like this the whole movie? It was cocaine. That's why it's the 80s. Goodness. What do you think made that happen?
Early 80s Sting, cocaine. Oh, makes
so much sense now. But the fight.
Put on the red. What do you think he was on? Yeah, that's the whole Spice thing. It's like cocaine. It's like, I will kill him. Like all the overacting he did in that movie, I was like, damn, he's high as a motherfucker. How did he remember
the cult classic alone? Okay,
how did he remember his lines? He was so high. I'm surprised he remembered anything.
He didn't really have that many.
No,
to be fair, he did not have that many.
That's probably why, because he was high as a motherfucker. They're like, don't give me like, no. Give him like 5 lines. Give him 5 lines.
So this choreography was really good.
Fight choreography was good. Like all of the battle scenes, like I said, anytime we saw the Fremen get up from the ground and just start fighting and like they're sliding up, it was just the fight choreography was so good. And I'm sitting there looking like I'm really thinking this is Zendaya fighting because shit. When I say
yes, and I love that they showed that scene, and it makes us like, okay, his visions in the first one, he saw himself, but it was her, and I like that because it was the same exact fight.
Yeah, fight choreography.
The side note: how does the Fremen get in the sand? I need to see that part. I want to see that part. Do they dig? Do another person help you dig your way and you get under and they cover you up? Like how do
they're like Sidewinder rattlesnakes. They just lay down and go like
they just shake themselves in there. I just want to see that.
I can't with y'all.
That's the question I have.
That's a good question though. It's a really good question.
Okay.
Like how you do that.
If you get under it enough, the wind takes care of the rest for you.
Okay, because I was just about to say, it's not like it's not like you can get in there and just kind of stick your arm out and push the sand back over.
They just like Michael Jackson spin and like drill themselves into the sand, like. I don't know. That's a good question though. I mean, because they were like completely camouflaged and
completely.
Like, how did they not get run over? I'm like
with a little mouthpiece. I thought that too. I was like, it's getting awfully close to you.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, some of them
like literally one of them was about right there.
Years of experience. They can see where the highest concentration of the spice is, so they're not going to go right there. They're going to go around it.
Okay, so was that like a training day, or does that take like a year training or 6 months of training?
God knows all. Still God knows all.
Okay.
But
Just
Paul
this
learned how to
Sildar.
do it to the point where you can hear footsteps too.
Well, yeah, I would assume that like you, even though it's not as extreme as when they're well, no, I mean it doesn't even have to be extreme, but I mean even with the Shai Hulud, they can feel the footsteps on the sand from miles away. So I'm assuming if you're under there and somebody is walking near you, you would feel at least that kind of
without
vibration.
sand in your ears, in your nose.
Well, you know, they have the helmets and they have the
but it's sand everywhere.
Yeah, they have the
I'm like
guards.
Anakin, it's just sand everywhere.
I can't. It's science.
Anakin did not have the proper attire.
Science fiction. Okay, there's some things that you're just not going to be able to explain.
But we want all the answers.
I do. That's the one I want. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I would assume the gear that they had on kind of keeps all of that.
It does.
No, but sand gets everywhere.
It does get everywhere. I mean, you know, as soon as you take it, still gets into places. So I'm just amazed.
But notice how you never saw any sand on any of them when they came out of the.
No, they don't. And then I'm sorry, when you're riding a worm, I mean, that sand and the wind, I mean, you should have some abrasiveness going on. But y'all riding it like it's beach water in the air.
They had the discoloration from like the dirt hitting their face.
Yeah, just that. But it should be a little bit painful. Yeah, I got the goggles, but there was skin in the air.
Y'all are asking questions. My question is, how do you get a fucking colony on top of the
That is true too, because you have to like the rope.
All those people and items and things on these worms as they're moving.
I got you.
Like, how much effort did that take?
Riding that bitch like a mega bus. I was like, damn.
And then they got them to all line up in the in the
like
row,
you're steering them. Well, I guess that's why when they tether themselves to them, they have like a tether over here, and then they put one over there. But yeah, it's like.
But you get all the things
like they
on top.
How did you get
like
all
you
the
got
things
Jessica little
in a tent, like
her caravan, yes,
yeah, on top.
How do you get the caravan?
The suitcases, you know, the cooler. Like, how did you get
exactly?
You know, the kitchenette set. How did you get all that on the?
I don't know. Because I was wondering
how to get it off. How do you get it off?
How do you get the worms to stop? Okay, you can stop
here, and we slowly like everyone. Just
it's like
maybe they were connecting mentally with them.
Is there like a cord on the worm you can pull? Be like, ding ding, it's my stop. Just like it just.
But you know, that was one of the things I wondered about through that movie, because we see the Shai Hulud a lot in this one, a lot, and you see them training Paul how to ride it. You see like the others riding it, but then when you get to the point when they're getting ready to go to the city, like you said, you've got dozens of people riding on one. Jessica's caravan is on one. You've got and they're like 3 or 4 or 5 of them all parallel to each other going. So I'm just like, is it something about once somebody hitches onto them? I don't know.
I thought it was more of a specific, like, kind of like unique skill to be able to ride the worms. It's like, no,
it's not. Yeah, all the fighters know how to do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would think that living in a desert where they are prevalent, you have to learn how to ride them.
It's part of becoming the Fedaykin. The Fedaykin is part of becoming.
That's lesson 10.
Oh no, it's the last lesson, because if you fail, you die.
Yeah, so it's lesson 10.
But if you get all that way and you die anyway, what's the point? But
yeah, that is.
But luckily, we
if he dies, he dies.
He dies.
Okay. Another interesting thing I want to talk about with this film is how they get the water.
Oh, poor worm.
I mean,
the way that they are sucking the water, like literally, you can't even have a funeral for a person, because not 2 minutes after they die,
yep,
you're sucking the water out of their their bodies,
Exactly.
and you're
They vacuum pack your ass and take that moisture. But like, look, we need that. Just give me that.
They don't
I
even
mean,
need it. They're just putting it back with all
yeah,
the other
yeah, they
ancestors.
put it in a
No, no,
pool
no,
that
no,
they don't
not
even
the.
use.
They didn't. The other people, they were using that water to drink.
Oh,
But something they put in
the
that pool that
Harkonnens,
they don't
yeah,
Yeah.
use.
but not their own people.
Yeah, but still,
It's like they got all that
that
water. They're
was
like,
tab.
okay, nobody uses that water. I'm like, nobody. Like they ain't
Right.
nobody sneaking around like in the
Uh-huh.
middle of the night, like
Excuse me. You know, there's some
and
teenagers.
going back to sleep. I'm just saying.
I don't even want to know what kind of high that type of water will yield, especially considering if Stilgar says, "Oh, these are the waters from our ancestors." Ain't no telling what you're gonna see when you drink that water. I'm not touching it. I'll just
Yeah.
no.
You think about it, that's a different type of dysentery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might pass. Yeah.
But I was just like, but it did put me in the mind, Michelle, of Dead City and how they use the bodies of the dead to create methane to power everything. I was just like, who was really sitting around one day and said, "Oh, I have a way for us to get water. When everyone dies, we're going to drain it out of their bodies and we're going to put it over here in this big ass tub and nobody can touch it." Like,
water is sacred. So
and how is it water and not blood? Like how? Like,
right, but then still, if it's so sacred, your enemies, you drinking their water. I guess because you killed them.
That's the enemies. And remember, they were like, yeah, it don't even taste right because of all the chemicals.
Yeah. Don't see, then that's disgusting.
oh God.
tap water versus processed water.
Yeah.
This Aquafina, I don't like
Straight
this.
from the source.
Wow. Tastes like Dasani.
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think. It has been 2 weeks since I've seen the movie, so
Yeah.
I know there's a couple of other things that we probably should touch on. Anybody got anything they want to talk about as far as the movie while I sit here and
Well, of course, I want to say how Shawnee, one, do not come up to me. I'm already pissed off at the situation. Don't come up to me. I'm gonna love you to my dying day. All right, I'm gonna marry this princess right here. Can you wait till I leave the room?
Right.
Girl,
Right
I was
there.
like, no tact whatsoever.
Good.
But I mean,
I felt it. It was so sincere. It was sincere. I will love you to my dying day. All right, I'm gonna marry the princess, and I'm gonna take over.
And okay. I think he did that in front of her because he had to make it known, especially once they already took notice that he favored her, you know.
Faid, oh, that's your pet? Oh, see, that's where he messed up.
That's where he fucked
up. That's where
he
messed up.
I literally said it out loud in the movie theater.
That's not my pet.
He said something about it being her pet, and then he said something about when I get done with her. I said, "Oh, he fucked up." And the person next to me just kind of snickered because I was like, "Oops, I didn't mean to say that out loud." But you just fucked up.
You did.
Like, you should have just gone ahead. You already stabbed him twice. You should have just did the third time and just been done with it, and you would have been fine.
But you had to say something. You had
to threaten that one.
Yeah, that's a common theme on our shows. You had to say that one thing.
That one thing.
You had to say that one thing.
It's always that last. Thing.
Let it go.
It's a trope.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's that I think I described it in talking about another show. It's like you're pulling out the Hulk Hogan syndrome from them. He's down on the ground. He's injured.
Mm-hmm.
And you're clearly, now I will say, Paul was giving him the business. He was matching him. But yeah, I got a little over on him. You should have just let it go. You should just went on ahead and killed Paul and just did what you needed to do with the rest of them. You would have been fine. But you had to open your mouth and threaten that one chick.
Yep.
I was like, it's over. I was like, this fight ain't even gonna last another minute.
Nope.
And it didn't.
Nope.
And again, that one chick was already pissed off of the whole situation because at the end she catched her own worm back to the north.
She was like, "Fuck y'all, deuces."
Yeah.
She said, "What I'm not about to do is watch this man that I love, this man that I have stood by, this man that I have that I brought back to life.
Right.
Go
Is
off
a
and
whole
marry someone
different
else.
person. And all the shit he's doing, I'm not a part of
She
it.
even helped him cheat on the test because he was supposed to do that stuff by himself.
Oh, yeah, she did.
Right.
He
See, why? Went up there
and
and
helped him.
Man.
Hell yeah, she did all that shit. She was just,
When
him
said
over there
that,
with his chin on her shoulder, like yeah, and she's like, "Go on, I gotta do this, or we gonna die." Like he was dead. He was probably dead in the first 2 days if he didn't have her out there. He would have been gone. This movie would have been 45 minutes. We would have been rolling credits.
Mhm.
He would have just been laying there like, be like, and
but
a
when
beautiful
he
sound
said that,
plays.
I was just like, I was sitting in the movie theater. You know that little meme where the guy's like, that was me in the movie theater. Because I was like, he didn't even give her no warning. But like I said, I feel like he had to say that in front of everybody so that they knew he was serious. And probably also so they would think that she's not a threat. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. I'm with this chick, but I'm about to marry you and we're going to do this. And
Yeah.
Yeah, but they all
because he
have
needed allies
concubines.
Yeah, because his mama was
His
one.
mama was a
one.
concubine, so
Mhm.
So
I mean, he needed
But
allies
she was a
because everybody was
concubine and
getting
he
ready.
didn't have a wife. So I thought that
No,
was kind of
because-
interesting.
because he really
Yeah, but
did love Jessica.
I know.
But I'm kind of thinking that Jessica manipulated the situation.
Yeah, but everybody was getting ready to attack him too. It's like he didn't have time to make a decision. It's like because they were already wasn't everybody already in orbit? And he was like, I gotta make it. He's like, okay,
Yeah,
we
because
gotta-
they weren't gonna accept him as the new
Yeah.
right.
as
the
new
great
leader.
houses of the Landsraad were not going to accept him
So
as king.
And
So
she's like,
he say,
fucking
what
marriage
did
of
he say?
convenience. Sorry, baby.
lead them to paradise.
Lead them to paradise.
Yep.
Heal them
Sorry,
all.
baby. I gotta do this. And she's
I was
just
like, okay, Daenerys.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's basically
Yeah.
what he did.
The one small thing I want to talk about was Jessica was saying how we need to turn people, and we'll start with the weak. I was thinking of Shani's friend because she was making fun of him just like everybody else. Oh, he ain't real. And then later she's like, Lisan Al-Gaib. She had bought in and drank the Kool-Aid and everything.
And she was the one that sacrificed herself, right? When
Yes.
yeah.
She was the
Yeah.
non-believer.
Yeah.
And in the end, she sacrificed herself. That shows you how powerful all of that was.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But the one person came out of this saying, this shit is not right.
Yeah.
And she off by herself
she off by
now.
herself.
However, she gonna get back to her boo. She'll forgive him.
I don't know.
Yeah, she has to.
Well, if he's following the books.
If they follow in the books,
she's got to.
yeah.
This is true. Besides
She
that,
has no choice.
If this is true love, she's gonna come back anyway, despite her better judgment, and help him any way she can without getting in his way and causing any trouble. Because this is the trope. If you love somebody and they're with somebody else, you go away for a second, steaming mad, off mad somewhere. Then you're like,
Right.
I don't like it, but I'm gonna help you. So you know she's coming back. Even if you
And-
didn't read the book, you know for a fact that she's coming back.
Yeah, even not having read the book, you would think she's going to realize, or they're going to have a conversation where she realizes he's really trying to do the right thing.
Right. And she needs to be that other person, like the angel on his shoulder.
The voice of reason.
Right, because his mama on the other shoulder
his
is
mama's
not
gone.
helpful.
He gone.
So she needs to come back to be that sound of reason for him.
Right.
To be, that foundation for him, because it's about to get crazy.
Right.
So is Shani are Shani and Irulan gonna fight over him?
I don't
Depends on
think,
your definition of fight.
like you mean like
Either
duke it
one.
out?
Either one you're thinking of.
There will not be a physical fight between the two. of them.
Okay. All right.
No.
Maybe it'll be mental.
But I mean, I don't know what Denny's going to do, but
Okay.
if he
Because I was looking, I was
tracking
like,
along with what's happening, it won't be a physical fight, but there's going to be some conflict. But
okay,
that's about it.
like a physical fight between Zendaya and Florence Pugh. I'm like, I'm kind of here for that actually.
Well, Shani would be sort of at a disadvantage.
You think so? Oh well, because Irulan is Bene Gesserit, so she can use.
She got some training.
Yeah.
She can handle herself.
Yeah.
But what was the other question I was about to ask? Oh, okay. So I know Jessica is pushing the whole narrative with Paul being the Lisan Al-Gaib and all this other stuff. But where does her daughter fit into all that once she is born? I think her daughter's name was Alia in the original. So where does Alia fit into all of this? Like, is Paul just a placeholder and she's going to be the one that's actually, because, you know, the Bene Gesserit always said that it was supposed to be a woman, or, you know, when they was telling Jessica she needed to have a girl, it's like now she has a girl. So is Alia going to come in and kind of usurp what Paul is doing, do you think? Or do you think they're just going to use her in a different way if they continue the story with Eye of Dune?
The safest thing I can say is think of what Stilgar was doing, but put it on the galactic level.
Oh, okay. So she's gonna be the Jehovah's Witness walking door to door or going planet to planet, being like, my brother is the savior.
Yeah, and you see these 500,000 troops I got behind me?
Ah, gotcha. So it's either you can follow us by choice or follow us by force.
And do you really want to rock the boat with Aaliyah? I don't think
that's the safest thing I can say.
Mike, I'm about to mute you. Mike.
I'm just trust me.
For those Dune people,
I got a whole pad full of them.
For those Dune people who are listening, don't hate on this. We're gonna get some stuff wrong, so it'll be okay. Yeah. It'll be okay.
Yeah, and I mean,
I haven't read Messiah. I haven't read Heretics. I haven't read Chapter House. So
okay,
be okay, guys.
So we're just and also
we're speculating.
And then also because, like I said, he kind of veered from the books in this one. That's one of the reasons why Lori is not on this podcast, because as most of you who have listened to us for the last few years know, Lori has not gone to a movie theater since the pandemic started in 2020. So she has not seen Dune 2 yet. She joined us for the coverage of the first movie because she's very familiar, like she is a huge Dune fan, like the way Anthony is into Lord of the Rings, the way I am into Harry Potter. That is Dune for Lori. But after she's listened to a couple of other podcasts and she's read some of the reviews about some of the things that got changed, she was like, maybe I need to watch it first before I talk about it. So that's why she's not here. So we don't have our Dune expert with us. So we're just, like Anthony said, we're just kind of making assumptions and talking based on the limited knowledge that we have, plus what we've seen in the film. So, yeah, but I was really kind of interested because in the original film, the sister kind of comes in during that scene where they're with the emperor and during the fight, and she kind of does a couple of little things, and she is the one that actually, like, if I'm not mistaken, she's the one who actually kills the Baron in this one, because she kind of sends his body flying out into space. This one was way more satisfying, for me, because I feel like, one, if anybody needed to have that revenge or seek vengeance for Leto, it should have been Paul. So I was very satisfied with that. And plus it was just the way that they handled it. It was so beautiful. Like you said, he walks up, grandfather shank. That was just the best. Because I mean, that was, like I said, he didn't even get a chance to like process what he was saying.
Or comment.
Did the Baron know he was Jessica's father?
He knew he had a child.
Okay, because I was gonna say,
he didn't know it was Jessica.
Okay,
he didn't know it was Jessica, but he knew he had a child.
Because Jessica's mother was actually the Reverend Mother that we saw in the first movie, right? The one who tested Paul. Or at least that's what Lori was telling us happens in the books. It was her and him, and then you see them kind of in that little, what was it, that little space that they had where they were talking privately and nobody else could hear it. I was kind of like, something's weird about them. And then when Lori said it, I was like, oh. And then I was looking at them like, she slept with him. Oh, but I don't
Hey,
think, but I don't think he was always like that, right?
no, he wasn't.
Okay. Okay.
He was
So
probably
what?
like Fade.
He was probably like Beast physically. Oh,
I'm just saying, young and
oh.
Yeah. So
charismatic.
I wonder what happened to him to put him in
He
that.
was. He was. They represent gluttony.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The Harkonnens represent gluttony.
Okay.
That's what happened. He's the epitome of excess and glutton.
Okay.
So that's why he can't support his own weight. He's so heavy.
Right. He has to
All
walk, well,
the
not even walk around, float around with a whatever
yeah.
Yeah,
you
he's
want
in
to
a
call that
chair.
thing.
He's like Wally. He's like you can't walk around. Even though in the first movie when he was getting poisoned by what's his name, he crawled up that wall pretty quick.
Well,
He
I mean, but he
floated.
still
He
had
floated
to,
up.
yeah, he floated
Quickly.
up. Yeah. Yeah. There was something else I was gonna say. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna go back to the original movie for a minute because there was something in the original movie that they didn't have in this one. So I just have to ask, what in the fuck was that gross looking thing floating in the tank? The one that basically was telling in the original Dune movie when we first see the
Oh,
Emperor,
uh-huh.
there's some kind of creature that's very slimy, very gross looking that they bring in some kind of tank filled with water. And he is the one that's kind of communicating to the Emperor, letting him know that the Atreides need to die or whatever the case. What was that?
Wasn't that the representative of the guild, the Space Guild?
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that was representative of the Space Guild.
Okay. Because they
Now,
didn't have that. They didn't have that in this one, right?
yeah, they didn't focus on from what I understand, Denny didn't like the Space Guild, so he
Okay.
kind of pushed him off to the side.
Yeah, I think there was something I read that he said mainly his focus was telling the Bene Gesserit story,
Yeah,
and that's why the Mentats were not in this one.
yeah.
So because of I guess apparently what's his name? The Mentat that was with the Atreides family.
Thwath, was it Thwather?
Yes, him. I think I
Yeah,
don't know if that's how to pronounce it, but him.
yeah.
But apparently he thought about bringing him back, but because he wasn't focusing on that part of the story, he left him
Well,
out.
he had
So,
the issue some people are gonna have is he had a larger role.
mhm.
Like when the Harkonnens took over, they lost theirs in the
Yes,
poisoning,
yes,
and they forced him to do it.
mhm.
They poisoned him. The Baron poisoned him and would give him the antidote to keep him alive, to keep him working for them. But
Okay,
behind the scenes, he was still trying to manipulate things to help out Paul, I guess.
okay, okay,
Or
okay,
or to usurp or undermine what the Harkonnen was doing.
okay.
Even in the arena with Faid, he was the one that didn't have the guy poisoned.
Ah, okay,
So
okay.
they completely removed him from the story. But
Okay.
it was him who didn't, he was the one that manipulated people to not poison that Atreides because he thought he would kill Faye.
Fate. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because now that you say that, I do remember his character being in the original and
Mhm.
he was held captive. So I do remember that. Okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, so apparently he wants to tell the Bene Gesserit part of the story. And then, like I said, if he gets to do Dune Messiah, I think I kept saying Messiah of Dune earlier, but Dune Messiah, then that story is going to focus a little bit more on Chani's character, and that's why she was so prominent in this one, because it threw me off when I watched the original one. I was like, you see the original Shani for like what, 3 scenes, and she probably says something in only 2 of them.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to
But
see
she
her.
was ride or die in that one, all the way to the end.
Right. So, but
And
it
and
was.
that's what some of the things that we have been watching with people with the book was saying how they actually liked this because it gave her some dimension. Like she wasn't just ride or die. Like she
Right.
was questioning things, fighting back. Like, I don't agree. Let's do something
She was
else.
autonomous. She had her
Yeah,
own
she has her
identity
own.
as
Yeah.
outside of
So
him. Yeah.
which was great that they fleshed out some of these characters and stuff. So
I think if I was the writer, she would have been my audience character. Like we're supposed to be experiencing it
through
her eyes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see that because we're sitting here like, oh, okay, Paul is great. Like doing what he is. Like, oh my gosh, I'm rooting for him. Like, I hope he can get revenge. I mean, they killed off his family. I'm really hoping this works out for him. You know, Jessica, you believe in your son. You remember your not husband, but your what would it be to
your
her?
man?
Your man. Okay,
your
boo
daddy
said, "Are you going to protect Paul as your son or as a Bene Gesserit?" So she still was confused about that though, of what she's doing. But how
but she went from like this extreme to this extreme in such a very short time.
She did, very short time. But then I just like the transformation from Paul from movie 1 to movie 2. Like you can see the difference. So I really hope that again around Oscar time next year that he's nominated.
Yeah.
Because he needs to be. Like he's totally two different people. And I'm glad we watched the first one like 2 days before watching the second one. Because you can see that change. You can see that change.
It's almost as if it's 3 different people.
Yeah.
It is. Because it's the boy, you know, and then becoming the man and then
becoming the Messiah.
Yeah.
Because when he once he drank that water, and like you said, he went in and made that speech, totally different.
Just how he carried himself, how he was walking around, like even just watch the scene when he went in there with the Baron, like just how he carried himself.
So much confidence.
Yes.
So much confidence.
Like I know it's about to happen. I don't give a fuck about anybody else. This is what I say is going to happen. This is what's going to happen. And then when he silenced the Queen Mother, Mother Superior, she was falling back.
That shit was
what? But then I know Jessica.
You used the voice on me,
right? But Jessica inside was like, yes.
Finally, you know she was.
Finally, someone shut her up.
But you also, in the same way that you see the change from in Paul from boy to man to Messiah, you also see that change in Jessica.
You do.
She's like, at first she's kind of like subdued, and then she's like determined, and then it's like by the time she actually elevates to Reverend Mother, and she's like, we really start seeing her manipulate things. She is a scary character.
She is.
Because it's kind of like, bitch, do you know what you're doing? Like, you hear how you sound?
Right. And that's what Leto said to her. Like, I don't know if what's her reasoning really? Like, where is she at right now? Is she really for her son? Or is she for the power?
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know.
She does make that line a little murky.
Right. In the beginning, I'm like, you all for your son, you know what I'm saying? You believe that he should be the prophecy that y'all made up so many years ago anyway.
Where did he come up with these words?
Yes, and he also said it doesn't even matter how you pronounce them.
Right, I saw that.
It's like, no, we need to know. You just don't have us making up stuff. But you in the beginning, you're like, okay, she's for her son. You know, she wants him to be the prophecy. She did this. I believe she did this for love. Like, this man wanted a boy. I'm gonna give him a boy. I actually love him. I love his son. I believe I'm still a part of my, I'm still a part of my gang. However, my son is part of this gang too, and he is powerful. Let him be the one. And then it turned into shit. I just want the power.
But I will say this though, the scenes that we do see of her with Paul, even after she became the Reverend Mother, you do see a little bit of a softness there with her. At least that's what I saw. Like when she's standing with Paul, you kind of see her not letting her guard down so much, but she seems different around Paul.
Right, because at this
Paul is
point we
also
equal.
not. Yeah, and
We
Paul is
equal.
also not like scared to call her out. Like,
Well, because we both drunk the water. I mean, at this
What
point,
was the first thing he said? Oh, Baron Harkonnen is your father.
and she was like, well, I just found out too, you know, when I drunk the water. So
right,
pump your brakes. Sorry, I ain't tell you.
right. So
Pump your brakes.
basically, Grandpa killed off Betty.
Right. And you can't be the same way with your son the way you were, because at this point y'all are equal. And we don't know how this power manifests in him. We know how it does for the women, but no man has ever lived to tell the tale.
Yeah, no man, right? Like,
no man. So we just got to go with how this is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
In the book, they say, yeah, men have drank the water. They have tried and failed. And she was like, no, they tried and died.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a try and fail. You tried it.
Right.
Speaking of stuff that wasn't in the movie, I remember one of the main things I remember about the original movie is that when they were fighting towards the end, like they had those weapons that they held with both hands, and they said their names and like shot a bolt of energy out. And
you're talking about the weirding way. Yeah, the weirding way.
Yeah, you're like, what? It's like because Paul would be like, Muad'Dib, and like shoot people, and it's like that didn't happen. I was like, because they gave him his name. Like Muad'Dib is actually his like name, his
Fremen name. Yeah.
His Fremen name is Muad'Dib. So I was like, okay, that must be the way that he summons the power to be able to use that weapon, but they never actually used the weapon.
I thought he was teaching them how to use the voice when I saw that first movie. That's kind of what it was coming off like.
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
But the weirding way is a way that the Bene Gesserit it's like a martial arts for the Bene Gesserit.
Okay, yeah.
He teaches it to the Fremen. Denny didn't. The way David Lynch did it was using the weapons to use the voice or whatever. In the book, that's not the case. It's just the martial arts, fighting style, and here he just did away with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would have taken.
It makes it easier.
Okay. Yeah.
Just to say that they can fight, that all the survival skills they have, and they hone their fighting skills naturally.
And I think I like that better too, because it shows that they don't need outside influence in order to survive or in order to be amazing warriors.
You take away that white savior thing that people have issues with.
Yes. Yeah.
Like they couldn't have survived had he not taught them this. It's actually the opposite. He would not have survived if he had not learned from them.
Right, because the Fremen have been there for hundreds of years.
They were fine.
They were good.
They were
like
good.
the fact that they had this whole underground system, and they had all of these thousands and thousands of them, and nobody on the surface knew. Yeah, they didn't need Paul to come in and save them. Not in that sense. So anything, that makes a lot more sense.
In the end, he actually made it worse because he was so effective at destroying their shit that
they came looking for him.
They came looking for him.
Yeah. So, do you think we're gonna get a third movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know how Hollywood can be sometimes, but
I don't think they greenlit it.
Denise already working on it.
Okay.
But I don't think they've greenlit it though.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm kind of wondering, because you would think like they have the box office success is there.
Yes,
it's there. So you would think that they would have already announced that, but like I said, Hollywood. But you know what? I have seen some other announcements from other movie studios about what they are going to do, what they aren't going to do in the last couple of days. So maybe we'll hear something from them. And and then we can start. I guess I have to try to read the books before they come out with a third movie, and then also try to read Dune Messiah, because I do kind of want to see how that story is going to be.
Okay, Hanako.
I know it's a lot of reading because we're still talking about Outlander,
Right.
and I definitely have to read those books now because I got approached by Dragon Con yesterday. They were like, "Hey, do you also want to do the book panel?" Okay, I guess that's my motivation. So, but I'm gonna fit it in somewhere. But I am kind of interested to see how that how the Dune Messiah story is, and how, like, I'm really interested about Chani's character because I like the fact, again, I do like the fact that they made her such a strong character, and that, you know, she didn't let her love for this man you know, deter her from her beliefs, and how she was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to stand my ground. If this is what you want to do, you want to become this savior, this Messiah, and you're going to go kill these houses because they said they didn't want you as the leader. Okay, you know what? You go do that over there. I'm going to go over here. And, you know,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of interested to see where her story takes her.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to see that on screen. And then I don't know, maybe I don't know if they're going to do any of the other books, because I know he's always talked about it being a trilogy. So maybe he's like, okay, 3 and done. I'm not about to try to milk this for everything. And, you know, like you know, some studios and some people do. So.
Right. And right now, the issue may not be that if it's confirmed or not. They may be trying to negotiate with him being a part A and a part B of 3.
Oh God, no.
That's probably what we're waiting for.
They're going to want.
Right. So that's probably what's in the talks right now.
Yeah, they're going to want.
It's like, it's probably confirmed, but we're not hearing that yet because they're probably trying to approach him with, okay, can you split it up maybe into 2 parts?
I want to wait for this movie. Damn.
But you know what? But given the scope of the story that they told, 2 parts made sense, because there's no way, I feel like they couldn't have gotten all of this compacted enough into a 2.5 hour movie. And
we would have been there 5 hours if we just made this one movie.
Yeah. And
if you watch them back to back, it's going to be basically a 6-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is.
It goes right into it.
It does. How long was the first one? This was
about the same.
It was like about 2.5 hours as well.
Yeah, so 6 hours. Okay, 6 hours.
Because this one was, I think, 2 hours and 26 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, 2:46.
Okay, 2:46. Okay.
Yeah, it was 2:46. I knew this one was.
And the first one was 2:35. So 2:35.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
6 hours. Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So they're probably negotiating with him about having a 2-parter for the 3rd movie.
Not for story's sake.
Not for story's sake, but money's sake. They are.
Yeah.
Because he did this movie for less than 2. The budget was 190 million.
Yeah.
And what he did with that
is a lot.
Is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What he did with that. And they're looking at him, if you could do that again, dude, you can have your third and fourth movies.
I just saw a meme about that, about the budget for the movie and how it looked, just how beautiful it was and seamless. And that other movies that are way over budget and their stuff looked like a kid did it on a computer, they were like, okay, we need to look at the books, because where y'all really spend that money on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What was the budget for Madam Web?
You know what?
It better not be the same. It better not be the same.
Do y'all have any final thoughts on Dune 2? Because we are not getting into that conversation right now. Any final thoughts?
Shout out to the Atreides atomic bunker that they found. I was like, damn, y'all got. I mean, they had acres of bombs. I was like, well, shit.
Now I want to know when they had time to put that there.
I think that they said they've been building it up for centuries, right?
It was the original, because every house has a stockpile. Every house has a stockpile of nukes. Sort of like mutually assured destruction. It was holdovers from the original wars.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say the thing that confused me was, why was the Atreides stockpile on Arrakis when they weren't from Arrakis?
When they moved to Arrakis, while they were moving their stuff in, another group was bringing it in.
That's what I
Everyone
figured.
was paying attention.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Because I was like, how did y'all even get that set up? Because they weren't even on Arrakis for a long time before they got attacked.
Yeah,
they were there, days, if that.
Yeah, but it wouldn't take long for them to find the cave and stick it in there
Yeah.
and lock it up. And my thing is, I would have also assumed they would have left it on Caladan. Like, why move it?
Yeah.
You know?
But you know what? I think
Duke,
because of the situation, I think Leto knew what he was walking into.
So it had went like days prior or a month prior to them.
Yeah, you might like maybe when Duncan went to go find the Fremen.
That's probably why he was there.
Yeah.
He was probably remember Paul asked if he could be a part of the advance team. Duncan. And that was probably the thing that Duncan was in charge of.
Right. So he's like, yeah, I want you to go find and make nice with the Fremen. But while you're there, I have a side quest for you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All my missiles.
Yeah. So that makes sense. Because like I said, he knew what he was walking into.
When the book, he and Jessica knew it was a setup. It was a trap.
But I mean, you kind of get that feeling from him in the first movie as well. Like
you do too.
When the kind of the subtle conversations, and then just kind of the way that he was looking at the person who brought him the scroll that he had to sign, saying that they were going to go to Arrakis, they were going to do, they swore an oath, they were going to do with it. The way that he was looking and the way that he was behaving and some of the things he was saying, I feel like that was communicating to us as the viewers, oh, this is a setup, and I know this is a setup, but I'm going to do what I need to do.
See, the thing was, he didn't know that the Emperor would give the Harkonnens all of his resources to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it was going to take the Harkonnens a long time, and that would have been enough time for him to get with the Fremen and get everything set up.
Right.
But because of the Emperor, the timetable got screwed up.
Right.
He just didn't have enough time. Right. Because the turnaround with the Emperor's help, the Harkonnens were able to immediately come back and do everything. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to do that.
Right. Now, so explain to me the relationship between the Emperor and Leto, because Princess is it Irulan? Irulan. In the beginning of the movie, when she's talking about the fall of the House Atreides, she says something about how it affected her father because he looked at Leto Atreides like a son. And I was like, so you looked at him like a son and you sent him off to slaughter? What the fuck did he do? But I think you said something about because he was growing more powerful. He was
starting to have more influence.
Okay.
And the other houses was looking at him sort of for, I don't want to say leadership, but you know how you have that one person where everyone's kind of, yeah, I agree with him. Everyone was starting to like him.
Oh, he's an A.
That's a Walking Dead reference for those of you who don't know. But okay.
But yeah, he was a popular kid.
Okay.
Very influential house. They weren't as wealthy as the Harkonnens, but he was very influential.
Okay.
And that was a threat to the Emperor. The Harkonnens were a threat too because they started to have more money than anybody. They were also, so he was trying to knock out two birds with one stone.
Gotcha. Okay.
He figured that the Harkonnens helped the Harkonnens to wipe out the Atreides, and the Atreides would be enough to weaken the Harkonnens in taking back Arrakis.
So maybe the Emperor's daughter, she thought she was seeing sadness for him, but instead it was probably just guilt for doing this.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really good.
You say that like you're surprised.
I'm not surprised, but I'm going to steal that.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
I'm
going to be like Shani. I'm going to go ride on the worm out this house.
Exactly. Taxi.
And I think that's a great place to end our conversation. That's it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media, on all the social medias at Fandom Hybrid. You can chat with us on our Discord channel. You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel, and you can listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.